Today on Studio One, few job descriptions include a wave and a smile. There's one woman who has both down to a science. Also, in our Studio One Spotlight story, we'll introduce you to a teen who was told he was going to die. He took that information and turned it into an absolute will to live. And many college students struggle to pay for their education. We'll tell you how changes to federal financial aid could make it even harder.
From the University of North Dakota in Grand Forks, this is Studio One.
Hi everyone, and welcome to Studio One. I'm Monty Cashel.
And I'm Kaylee Hamilton.
We've got lots of exciting things on the program, and one of them is dealing with the human brain. And it is such an interesting subject because there's so many unknowns still about the human brain.
Yeah, there's a lot of diseases they've been studying, and they're such complex problems because it's such a difficult organ to study.
It is. It's a deep, deep subject.
That's
well,
true.
We've got a neuroscientist coming on the show today to talk about a special awareness week that's coming up about the brain, and she might also give us some tips on how to have a healthy brain for the future.
Great.
All right. Also coming up on the show, farmers sometimes rely on government payments for a portion of their income. Now President Bush is proposing caps on those subsidies. We'll tell you how growers are reacting to the idea.
Also, many people avoid thinking about death. This often keeps them from planning for that day. We'll talk to someone who will give us some tips on writing a legal will.
But first, here's today's news with Megan Floggen.
Thanks, Monty and Kaylee. The United States now has a new head of Homeland Security. Michael Chertoff was sworn in Thursday, taking over the post first held by Tom Ridge. The former Justice Department prosecutor plans to implement a massive review of the Homeland Security Department. After the ceremony, Chertoff promised to safeguard the country and preserve civil liberties.
Our mission is no less than this: protect America while fostering the values of liberty, privacy, and opportunity we all hold dear.
Despite his tour promoting Social Security reform, President Bush is finding increased opposition to his plan from the public and Congress. The Bush administration hopes to rally public support by holding 60 rallies in 60 days. Meanwhile, Republicans say they will not vote for the plan without some Democratic backing. The president is holding private meetings with congressional members to promote the reforms. Losing luggage can be one of the biggest frustrations a traveler faces, but some airlines hope to make finding missing luggage a bit easier. Passengers may soon be able to use an electronic tracking system known as radio frequency identification. The system uses a baggage tag containing a microchip with a tiny antenna. The tag emits electromagnetic waves, allowing it to send information on its location. While the airline industry is concerned with the cost of the system, passengers who have lost luggage approve of the new tags.
It has happened to me more than once. And in one case, it took about 4 or 5 days to track down the luggage. So I can see the benefit of it firsthand.
Delta Airlines plans to invest more than $15 million in the new tracking system. Health officials are concerned that a deadly virus that swept through poultry in Asia may create a human epidemic. The avian flu, also known as bird flu, has previously been transferred between poultry, but the genes of avian flu change rapidly and are now being passed from poultry to humans. The Centers for Disease Control fear the virus will continue to mutate into a form easily transferred between humans. Asia has already seen several human deaths caused by the virus. United States health officials have ordered 2 million vaccines to prepare for a domestic epidemic. President Bush's budget plans include cuts in government programs to help with the national debt. For many rural residents, though, the cuts may be felt in their own backyards.
Even though farming season is months away, farmers are preparing early. During the off-season, many growers attend agriculture trade expos like this one in Grand Forks, North Dakota. The exhibits feature different kinds of farming tips and practices. However, this year, many of the farmers have something else on their mind.
I don't really like to be picked on as a farmer.
The Bush administration recently announced its plans for reducing the budget deficit. The new plan allows for deep cuts in farming commodity programs and includes a $250,000 limit on subsidy payments to farmers.
Feel the most for the smaller ones and hoping that they can make it through this if it becomes a reality.
The timing for the subsidy cuts is probably coming at about the worst time that we could have them.
Some farm activists support the subsidy limits because they believe it would give smaller farms more opportunity for growth. However, some feel that these cuts could be just the beginning.
We're on a slippery slope. I mean, the subsidies just keep getting cut, support keeps getting cut.
A lot of people don't realize that, the products that we eat come from a farm, and I think they're going to disappear, and then everybody's going to be, where do we get that food?
Although the plan has not been implemented yet, many hope the new cuts do not mean the end of an old tradition. I'm Kerry Versdal reporting for Studio One.
According to the USDA, only a small percentage of farmers would be affected by the cap. And that's the news for now. Monty and Kaylee?
Thanks, Megan. Well, subsidies are one thing with farmers. Something else that affects them all the time is the weather, and that can sometimes lead, to crop failure, and then that's when they need those subsidies.
Right. So let's go over to Aaron Swanson at the Weather Studio, and he'll tell us whether we will have a good planting season or not.
All right, well, thanks, Monty and Kaylee. Well, actually, we are going to first take a look at our almanac conditions across much of the region here. First off, as we take a look in Fargo, right around 31 this time of year, 31 also in Minot. Otherwise, look at Bismarck. You're the lucky one. You've broke the frozen mark, or freezing mark, I guess, at 36 degrees as we head on in towards Denver. 51's your average high this time of year. 55 in towards Portland. And 37 in Minneapolis and Winnipeg. You're an inch in there, you'll be close to at right around -5 degrees Celsius. Well, what we have is actually we've had a long, prolonged dry spell actually that's been setting up towards the northwestern part of the United States and into the southwestern part of Canada. And what has caused this is actually a very weak El Nino. And it's kind of weird. It can either be wetter than usual or drier than usual with this type of El Nino. So this happens to be one of the situations where it's a little drier than usual. And what has happened is this high pressure has kind of moved on in and pushed all the rain into Southern California, and where they've seen all those mudslides and all the damage that they've seen down there. But up in towards Seattle and Spokane, they've been actually having some pleasant weather. But as we take a look at some of the rainfall totals, actually Seattle's seen the third driest February in its history with only 1.2 inches of rain falling. And look at Spokane. This is the driest one ever. Their last one was in 1929 where they saw about 9/100ths of an inch. Here they saw only 4/100ths of an inch. So quite, it's hardly even to measure that amount of rain. So as we take a look at the mountain snowpack though, only 26% of average, and that's really bad for farmers and also for people who rely on drinking water because they're going to eventually need that snowpack, which usually melts in towards the summer and it melts and bring in towards their aquifers and stuff. So something that they'll be watching there very closely come this spring and in towards the summer period. As we take a look though where it's going to be warm, it's going to continue to be warm off to the west coast, and we're going to see some colder air though in through the east coast. Otherwise into the northern plains and southern Rockies we should be getting right around average this time of year. Otherwise, we've got a pretty sporadic wet and dry pattern setting up. We got some wet conditions to the north and also to the south and east. Otherwise, dry continued up towards the northwestern region. Now, here's a look again at our studio and weather IQ question here. Where was the largest sinkhole ever found in the world? We have a few ranging there, actually, from the United States, Australia, Kenya, and Oman to choose from. So we'll have the answer to that question and also a look at sinkhole footage coming up in the second half of our show.
Thanks, Aaron. That should be pretty interesting, the sinkhole footage.
I've never seen a sinkhole before, so.
I haven't either, and I can't imagine what they look like or even how big they could possibly be. So
We'll have to wait for that a little bit later in weather. All right, let's go now to sports with Greg Ankers.
Thanks, Monty and Kaylee. The Atlantic Coast Conference is log-jammed with 8 of its 11 teams gunning to finish with a winning record in conference play. Georgia Tech entered Wednesday at 7-7 in the ACC and looked to get above the hump with a third straight win over Wake Forest. To senior night we go in Winston-Salem. Second half, Georgia Tech on the break. And as Jarrett Jack dishing to Ishmael Muhammad for the slam as Georgia Tech goes up 4. But later in the half, Demon Deacons get rolling, led by Chris Paul. Slips in the lane, no problem for Jamal Levy, who drops it like it's hot. Wake pulls within 5. With a minute left, more creation from Chris Paul. Misses the lane in the lane, but Vitus Danilus, the senior, puts it back for the hoop and the foul. Wake goes on to win 96-91. Texas A&M looking to keep their tournament hopes alive in Oklahoma State. Just starting the second half, John Lucas throws it up for Ivan McFarland. for the alley-oop, or does he? Replay shows that McFarland never touched it. It should have been a 3. Refs only gave him 2. Would that be a factor? Aggies on the run later in the half. AC Law finishes with the lay-in there. A&M goes up by 2. With under 6 minutes to go, Joey Graham working inside gets the hoop and 1 as Oklahoma State avoids the upset, winning 69-63. The number of coaching opportunities has risen over the past few years, but the number of women coaches hired to fill those spots has declined. There are now fewer women coaches than there were 20 years ago. Last year, of the more than 8,000 head coaching jobs in women's athletics, less than half were filled by women. Some athletes and educators are concerned about the lack of women in coaching positions. Assistant basketball coach Megan Pick says any obstacles can be overcome with heart and desire.
I know personally many Division I head coaches who are women, and they knew when they played growing up that they had that passion to be a head coach.
Pick says that it would be nice if there were more role models for women in the college game, but she also says both men and women have qualities to offer a team. And now it's time for the Studio One Sports Trivia question. It should be hockey season, but it's not. Here's a question for all the hockey buffs out there. Which team won the Stanley Cup championship the most often during the 1990s? We have 4 teams that did win the Stanley Cup during that period, but this might be a trick question. We'll reveal that answer when we have more sports in the second half of the show. Monty and Kaylee?
Thanks a lot, Greg. A new movie combines mystery, murder, and cheerleaders. We'll preview the film Man of the House.
Also, almost everyone has a belonging that they cherish. It might be an heirloom, a special photograph, or even a padded bank account. We'll tell you how to make sure your belongings are taken care of when you die.
Need to plan an entire conference? Want to provide your employees with professional training and development? The Division of Continuing Education at the University of North Dakota provides quality programs and services for career enhancement. Whether you want to attend educator workshops or need a certificate for your profession, the Division of Continuing Education can help you achieve success. Contact the Division of Continuing Education today and let us meet your professional needs.
When you graduate from college, what will you be able to offer an employer?
Well, I'm a really good people person.
I really love working with people.
I'm very, very motivated.
I'm a great people person. I am really motivated.
Offer an employer something more. At the University of North Dakota Career Services Center, we can help you get the competitive edge you need. Stop in or check us out, UND Career Services, empowering students to realize their dreams.
Did I mention I'm great with people?
The University of North Dakota College of Business and Public Administration offers real degrees for real people. Our nationally recognized faculty can help you earn a master's degree in business through evening classes.
Taking these evening classes were very convenient for me, and that's how I was able to complete the program.
We offer degrees for people who work, raise families, and lead busy lives. The UND College of Business and Public Administration, real degrees for real people.
Become a leader in healthcare with a graduate degree from the University of North Dakota. The Graduate School at UND offers degree programs and advanced practice certificate programs in the allied health professions and nursing. Our faculty give you the individual attention you need to help you attain your career goals. Distance programs for practicing professionals allow you to pursue graduate studies without interrupting your career. Contact the UND Graduate School today.
The School of Engineering and Mines at UND has a long history of preparing students for successful careers. Through small classes and faculty involvement, students have unique opportunities to gain hands-on experience. Here, students launch a weather balloon to test a remote imaging device destined for Earth orbit. Students can also become involved in wind energy and fuel cell projects, design, build, and race a Formula One car, or even develop a camera that will generate agricultural images from the International Space Station. Find out for yourself how you can get involved at UND School of Engineering and Mines.
You're watching Studio One, news, weather, sports, and entertainment.
Many people avoid thinking about their own death. Oftentimes, families are left to wonder what to do with their possessions after a family member dies. Attorney Kerry Rosenquist is here to tell us how a simple will can put your belongings into the right hands. Hi, thanks for coming on the show today.
You're welcome.
I guess just to get started, I'll just ask you, why is it important to write a will?
Well, a lot of people don't know what's going to happen with their possessions when they pass away. First of all, everybody dies. Humans know that they're going to die, but yet they don't want to think about it, so they put it to the back of their mind. And sooner or later that happens, and what's going to happen with your belongings? Who's going to get that family heirloom? Who's going to get the proceeds of the house? Do you have a son or a daughter with special needs that needs more than another son or daughter? It's very important to have a will to make your wishes known to whoever steps in and takes care of your estate.
Well, some people don't think they own anything of value. When should someone write their first will? Whenever they think that they need to. Everybody has things of value. You might have a sister or a favorite niece or nephew who has seen something or really likes something that you own, and yet you might be still at a very young age, early 20s, 25. You could write a will at that time to make your wishes known that that person should get that item. A lot of times in the hectic days prior to getting married, people don't think about those things, and tragically, some people, pass away very early on in a marriage, and then what happens with their belongings. Well, how does someone start to write a will? How do you kind of gather up your information?
Well, you can talk to your attorney or the family attorney. A lot of times younger people, they don't know who to talk to, and perhaps their parents have an attorney that they've gone to, and they can use the same attorney certainly. Or, there are the various will kits out there, although we don't recommend them because they leave out a lot of things, and you want to talk to your attorney about it. You talk to your attorney, and the attorney will tell you what you should bring in. If there's a list of items that you want to give to certain individuals, make sure you list it so you don't forget it.
Well, what happens if someone doesn't have a will? Is it kind of just a free-for-all, or?
A lot of times, unfortunately and tragically, it is a free-for-all. Oftentimes we see instances where everybody remembers, how Uncle Joe, who just passed away, wanted them to have a certain item, and at the wake, they'll all decide to migrate over to Uncle Joe's house, and then the free-for-all starts. Normally what happens is the next of kin, and that's listed by state statute, who is next successor in line, will step in and petition a court to be the personal representative to administer the estate. Unfortunately, by then, a lot of times things have disappeared.
Well, probably the spouse would inherit the belongings first, or the estate first. What happens if, the deceased is previously married or was previously married?
That gets a little bit more problematic. If the decedent had children by a previous marriage, those children are certainly heirs to the decedent's estate, even though the decedent has remarried. So if a person doesn't have a will, the decedent's first or his current wife receives a portion of his estate, but his children by a previous marriage also receive a portion of his estate.
Well, that sounds like everything could get pretty complicated. How often should you update your will?
Certainly every time there's a major life change. If somebody that you've wanted to give an item to has predeceased you, certainly you should update your will. If you've sold the house that you've given to somebody, you should update your will. A major life event, death of a spouse, certainly update your will.
Okay. Now I've heard of a holographic will where someone can just handwrite their whole will, and if they sign and date it, it's legal. Is something like that legal if it's written on, say, a napkin?
It is. It would be. I can assure you that if that particular person's had a large estate and they wrote their will out on a napkin and somebody found it, there would be a will contest.
Okay. Well, after hearing all this advice, if people are still wondering how to start, what advice would you give them?
Again, talk to their family attorney, contact their parents and talk to their family attorney, and set up an appointment to go in. And the attorney would be able to answer all the questions that you have.
Okay, great. Well, that's all very interesting and very valuable information. Thanks so much.
You're welcome.
Coming up, our brains are something that we use, but rarely think about. Later, we will talk with someone who has a case of brain awareness on the brain. Also, there are lots of jobs out there. Some people work in sales, fast food, or sometimes at a desk. One woman has made a new workplace for herself inside a smaller Statue of Liberty.
Earn a degree in engineering while you continue to work. The University of North Dakota's Distance Engineering degree program offers the only ABET accredited undergraduate degree program at a distance. Instructors and classes are delivered to you through online lectures and condensed on-campus laboratories.
It's convenient, it's flexible, and it's a quality education.
UND Continuing Education and the School of Engineering and Mines, teaming up to bring quality education to your door.
Need to plan an entire conference? Want to provide your employees with professional training and development? The Division of Continuing Education at the University of North Dakota provides quality programs and services for career enhancement. Whether you want to attend educator workshops or need a certificate for your profession, the Division of Continuing Education can help you achieve success. Contact the Division of Continuing Education today and let us meet your professional needs.
Tommy Lee Jones and Cedric the Entertainer co-star in a new comedy. Man of the House is a new film that combines murder and cheerleaders. Detective Roland Sharp is hired to protect a group of 5 cheerleaders who witness a murder. He finds that the best way to keep the girls safe is to move in with them. Even the pizza guy is given the 3rd degree to ensure security. Tommy Lee Jones plays Detective Sharp and says he enjoyed working with the rest of the cast.
Oh, it's a lot of fun to work with these girls. They're very talented, they're very funny. And we've all become good friends. It's just a pleasure to come to work every day.
The women were sent to a cheerleading camp for 3 weeks before filming. The movie was shot on a college campus in Texas. Man of the House is now playing in theaters. It's time to look at the events now happening in your area. With tax season rolling around, there's one person you can count on seeing smiling and waving day after day. We spent a day in the life of a woman who does out-of-the-ordinary work for an ordinary tax preparation office.
This workplace is a typical representation of modern enterprise. One employee here has her own unique workspace, and her work is always noticed. This woman in blue is Amanda Staffney. To many drivers, though, she is simply known as Lady Liberty.
You get like the same people that drive by every day, and you get the certain, like the bus driver, he gives me like a certain signal, and then some other companies, they'll like honk and do this.
Amanda says she applied for the job on a whim, after realizing she was highly qualified.
and it was kind of like a big joke we saw in the advertisement, get paid to wave.
I think it's their attention. Yeah. Anytime you see somebody out this curb, you wonder what's going on. So I think it's a attention getter.
And yes, you can still see Lady Liberty out in sub-zero temperatures.
Layers, 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 layers. That's all I have to say. 4 layers of pants I'm wearing, a turtleneck, a thermal shirt, 2 sweatshirts.
Believe it or not, there is yet another thing that helps keep Amanda warm.
I also had this little girl. She came over and she was like, on one of the coldest days, and she goes, "My dad and I brought you a hot chocolate." And it was so adorable.
So if you're one of the lucky ones who gets to drive by Lady Liberty, be sure to send her some of your warmth. With photographer Darren Lean, I'm Amanda Nelson, reporting for Studio One.
Amanda says she listens to her headphones while she's at work. Her favorite musicians to wave along to are Damian Rice and Jack Johnson. Coming up in our Spotlight story, high school is usually a time for making friends, learning new things, and enjoying social events. One young man was trying to do it all and also battled for his life. That story plus news, sports, and weather in the next half hour of Studio One.
George Bull and his partners found value in farina, the whitest part of wheat, and created cream of wheat. Patrick Haggerty founded Texas Instruments and helped it become one of the nation's high-tech giants. Raymond Rood is responsible for the modern diving board. His diving boards have been used in every Olympic competition since 1960. Chris Moen and Marlene Schott launched their food company through the UND Entrepreneurship Program. Will yours be next?
The University of North Dakota Alumni Association and Foundation, together with thousands of alumni and friends, are making a difference at UND. Thanks to generous private support, many students have experienced the rich history, tradition, and spirit of the University of North Dakota. UND alumni and friends understand the importance of education and are proud to be part of UND's growth and success. Learn how your gift to the UND Foundation can benefit you and your university. You can make a difference.
Earn a degree in engineering while you continue to work. The University of North Dakota's Distance Engineering degree program offers the only ABET accredited undergraduate degree program at a distance. Instructors and classes are delivered to you through online lectures and condensed on-campus laboratories.
It's convenient, it's flexible, and it's a quality education.
UND Continuing Education and the School of Engineering and Mines, teaming up to bring quality education to your door.
Tradition runs deep among American Indian people. One of those traditions is helping others. At the University of North Dakota, American Indian Student Services is dedicated to helping students succeed. Our support services include tutoring and financial aid assistance. We have more American Indian programs than any other university in the U.S., making UND a leader in Indian education. Be a part of our tradition. Call 1-800-CALL-UND.
From the University of North Dakota in Grand Forks, this is Studio One.
Welcome back to Studio One.
Thanks for joining us today.
A lot of people have stories about what it was like back in the day and
like when you had to walk to school uphill and then you walked home uphill and it was always cold
and snowing.
Yeah.
And a lot of those, when they talk about the different changes, a lot of those changes have to do with when they were going to school. And actually, we went out and talked to people about what they think the traditional classroom was like.
Right, and a lot has changed with technology in the past few years.
A lot of it has.
That's coming up. And also in the next 30 minutes on Studio One, millions of students rely on federal grants to help pay for college. We'll tell you why many will have to find other ways to fund their education.
Also, some people say that prayer can have healing powers. We'll look at one family who believes prayer may have saved a life.
And the human brain is complex. We'll talk with a brain expert who is trying her best to educate people about this important organ. But first, here's today's news with Megan Floggen.
Thanks, Monty and Kaylee. Steve Fawcett is back on his feet after completing the first ever solo flight around the world on just one tank of gas. The World Navigator passed over the United States Thursday morning, more than 66 hours after he left Kansas. Fawcett was greeted by fans and supporters as he landed at the same city where he took off. It wasn't smooth soaring all the way. Fawcett had problems with his plane's fuel system. Fawcett and his team were concerned when the plane came up short of fuel and considered ending the flight. They believe a faulty gauge may have been to blame. The 60-year-old pilot decided to continue on because of favorable tailwinds. In 2002, Fawcett also became the first balloonist to circle the globe non-stop. The dramatic rescue of 2 Los Angeles painters was broadcast nationwide Thursday morning after their scaffolding collapsed beneath them. While they were working 10 floors up on the outside of a skyscraper, a cable holding their scaffolding snapped. They dangled for 40 minutes until firefighters broke through a window to rescue them. Both men escaped unharmed. Security measures have dramatically increased in many areas of public transportation. However, one industry that has been mostly unaffected could soon be making changes of its own. A recent bus hijacking in Minnesota has had several bus lines reviewing their security procedures. Many companies are considering using metal detectors and putting the driver's seat behind a plastic wall. Companies are hoping that by heightening security, passengers will feel safer on public buses.
The companies are taking steps to improve the situation and make the travel more enjoyable and safer for all passengers.
Some bus lines have already installed global positioning systems. This allows drivers to trigger a silent alarm that pinpoints their location. Electricity and water generally don't mix, but for divers and surfers, the combination is saving lives. Many are now using a battery-operated device called Shark Shield to deter sharks. When sharks attack, they close their eyes for protection. They then use a tiny sensor in their noses to pick up electrical current from their prey. Shark Shield releases an abnormal electrical current that attacks the shark's nervous system and makes them uncomfortable. The creator of Shark Shield says there are no harmful effects on the wearer or the shark. Exams and papers and projects are just some of the stresses college students experience. But for many, paying for college may be the hardest struggle of all.
Yeah, that's what she said.
Nikki Schroeder is your typical college student. She keeps busy with juggling school and 2 jobs. But she recently found out the grant she relies on to pay for tuition will be drastically cut.
It's really hard because it's already hard to make money, and then you get it cut. They cut the money that you're supposed to pay with the tuition, and then they raise the tuition. So it's frustrating.
Nikki receives federal Pell grants that help her pay for college. The U.S. Department of Education has announced a change in the formula for determining eligibility for financial aid.
The result is that fewer students will be eligible for federal funds. North Dakota will be one of the states most affected by the cuts.
North Dakota students have the potential of losing, I've seen reported, up to $533 in Pell grants. And that's a significant amount, especially for students who are really in need of that grant money.
With tuition increasing and grants being cut, many students will need to find other ways to pay for college costs.
The challenge is that many of the needy students are already eligible for the maximum loans that we can give them. And so they're going to have to look at alternative sources.
Nikki plans on covering a decrease in financial aid with working extra hours and loans.
No, not so much this year because I had everything, but next year it could get really stressful.
Nikki is already struggling with trying to balance 2 jobs in school. And for her and many other students, the financial battle of college may be getting more difficult. I'm Lindsay Turner reporting for Studio One.
The average college student graduates $17,000 in debt. And that's news for now. Monty and Kaylee?
Thanks a lot, Megan. Well, Aaron had promised us some interesting video earlier.
Yeah, about sinkholes.
Sinkholes, yeah.
Let's go over to Aaron Swanson at the weather studio and he'll show us that footage.
Yeah, well, we'll show you some of those sinkholes that we saw. This actually is footage from a sinkhole that opened in parts of Florida. It was in Lake City, Florida, which is just west of Jacksonville. And it's pretty amazing footage. This, actually, it opened right next to a pond, so water rushed in from this pond and just into the sinkhole, and there was about 3 million gallons for every 6 minutes. So it was quite a lot of water that was flowing through there. They also saw the sinkhole is right around 225 feet long by 100 feet wide. So that's pretty much like half of a football field. And this has been pretty much caused by so much rain that they saw from the hurricanes this last summer. and really it's made the ground unstable. So just a little bit of rain showers in this area over the last couple days has really just triggered the ground to give way and pretty much just liquefy and make the sinkholes. So it's pretty spectacular footage to see how that happens. And there is one house actually that is in harm's way at the moment, but otherwise there's no injuries or anything that have been reported with that though. So sinkholes can swallow a house or even a road. That is why every time you head out onto the roadway, it is a good idea to check the conditions. And now there's new technology being used to help make it even safer.
There has been construction underway south of Grand Forks, North Dakota on I-29 at the site of an old rest stop. This is the new location of a field weather test site. Many instruments are being tested before they will be moved out to the site and set up to record data. The field weather test site will be the first of its kind in the nation.
The more information that you know of what's going on, the better information you can essentially give to the travelers.
The field weather test site's main purpose is research. The data will help explain the effects the climate has on our roadways.
If we know when the precipitation is going to begin, or when it does begin, what the condition of the pavement is, whether it's wet or slippery, icy, snow-covered, that'll all help the travelers.
As technology improves, more data will be available to better understand our roadways. Field weather test sites like this one should in turn make driving safer. Reporting for Studio One, I'm Nikki Morrell.
The North Dakota Department of Transportation and researchers from the University of North Dakota are hoping to finish building the site soon, so we'll be looking for that when it comes out. But here's a look again at our Weather IQ question. Where was the largest sinkhole ever found in the world? And actually your answer is in Oman, and that sinkhole was 820 feet deep. So it was just an enormous sinkhole. I mean, I bet you many people would suspect it even be like a cave or something, so how deep it was. So, Monty and Kaylee.
Thanks, Aaron.
Wow.
That's huge.
That is huge.
Can't imagine walking out in my backyard and seeing that.
Seeing your patio furniture being swallowed into a sinkhole.
Yeah, exactly.
Hope that never happens. Haven't seen it yet around here.
No.
Hopefully not. All right, well, let's go to sports again with Greg Ankers.
Thanks, Monty and Kaylee. A classic childhood game has become the next sports phenomenon. And despite the debate about whether it should be played in schools, dodgeball is becoming a hit on many courts today.
It takes aggression and a good arm. The new wave in sports is dodgeball. And whether it's inspired from childhood or the recent movie, leagues are popping up everywhere across America.
Well, I always played dodgeball in high school. We played a lot, every day, and I always loved it then. And it's kind of maybe recapturing some of that.
The game itself is pretty simple. No more than 7 members per team. Throw in 5 balls and lay some tape on the floor, and you too can have a league of your own. Tonight has a slightly different flavor, however, as it's co-ed night. And contrary to what you may believe, there is no letting up on either side of the ball.
I am bruised all over every single Thursday. Yep. Yeah, the boys don't hold back.
Despite the feeling you're under attack, plenty of fun still remains.
It's not as dangerous as you think it is, I don't think. I mean, sure, you get hit sometimes, I guess you can get hit in the face. You're not supposed to aim for the head, so and it's not too bad. It doesn't hurt that bad to get hit. It stings a little bit, I guess, when you get hit.
It's that kind of atmosphere in rough play, however, that can stun players the day after.
I know one of the things that people are surprised at is they're sore the next day. Even the jocks are sore the next day.
But the pain all seems worth it as this league continues to grow. With a second season already set on tap, the whipping, hitting, and catching are sure to continue for many weeks ahead.
There is currently a national dodgeball league that includes teams from Wisconsin, Minnesota, Texas, and New York. And now the answer to this week's Studio One Sports Trivia question for all the hockey buffs out there. Which team won the Stanley Cup championship most often during the 1990s? I told you it might be a trick question. The answer is actually B and C. The Detroit Red Wings and Pittsburgh Penguins each won the Stanley Cup twice. And the keynote there is Scotty Bowman had coached 3 Stanley Cup championship teams, once with the Pittsburgh Penguins in '92 and then each of the years that the Detroit Red Wings won. And that is the sports. Monty and Kaylee?
Thanks, Greg. It used to be considered taboo, but it has now become a music revolution, spawning new slang and fashion sense. We'll find out how hip-hop music has changed culture.
Also, when teens get ready to graduate, they sometimes struggle with the question of where they'll go after high school. For one young man, the struggle was living until graduation. That story is coming up next on the Studio One Spotlight.
Wall Street has come to the prairie through the A. Kirk Lanterman Investment Center at the University of North Dakota. This state-of-the-art facility in the College of Business and Public Administration provides hands-on experience in the world of modern finance. Students learn how financial markets react with lightning quickness to world events. They use cutting-edge technology and real-time data from more than 200 financial markets around the world. The Lanterman Investment Center provides the tools to make a career out of an education.
There are many things to be found at the University of North Dakota School of Law. You will find a place with small class settings, an affordable place that offers student interaction with both the state and federal court systems. You will find a school that has averaged over 90% placement for its graduates the past 5 years. But most importantly, you will find the skills and experience you'll need throughout your legal career. Find your future at the University of North Dakota School of Law.
This can happen.
Excuse me, can I get a ride?
What?
My car broke down. Can I get a ride?
No, I can't help you.
Look, it's just a ride.
No, step back.
Get in the car!
No!
Women can defend themselves. To learn more about Impact U or to enroll in a class, call the UND Women's Center.
Advance your career with a graduate business degree from the University of North Dakota. The graduate school at UND offers a variety of master's degrees that can help you stand out in the competitive business world. Our programs accommodate full-time students as well as working professionals. Our state-of-the-art facilities, dedicated faculty, and entrepreneurial training position graduates for careers as business leaders. Make your move towards a business leadership position. Contact the UND Graduate School today.
You're watching Studio One from the University of North Dakota in Grand Forks.
One of the music industry's most influential styles was unknown just 20 years ago. Hip-hop music has been sweeping the nation, drawing a truly diverse group of fans.
Hip-hop music is becoming more and more popular among today's youth. It was once thought to belong solely to the African American community, but things have changed. Kent State University professor Bakari Kitwana studies the hip-hop generation. Kitwana says hip-hop is more than just a style of music.
As young people are latching on to hip-hop, and hip-hop has been something that has saved a lot of young African Americans. And increasingly, you find it as a refuge for young white Americans and internationally.
Kitwana also says rap and hip-hop is becoming more widely accepted.
Talk about the hip-hop nation, you're talking about people that listen to hip-hop. Whether they're black, whether they're white, whether they're Latino, whether they're Asian American, and internationally.
I am a hip-hop fan, more of underground stuff, though I don't really like the mainstream that he was talking about in there.
XL93.
Some DJs are finding that hip-hop music is becoming the popular choice.
Early 90s, it was almost taboo to play hip-hop music. Other stations would actually run campaigns against you, you know, saying things like, well, we play this with no rap.
Rockin' Rick has also noted that during request hour, hip-hop music is requested more than any other style.
I'll toss that on the radio for you. Thanks for calling.
Your 50 Cents, your M&Ms, your Chingies, that's the type of music people want to hear, so that's what we play.
The influence of hip-hop music has affected more than just what people are listening to. Clothing styles, vocabulary, and entertainment have all changed due to the rise in popularity. Reporting for Studio One, I'm Gina Kalemi.
Bakari Kitwana teaches a political science course at Kent State University called The Hip Hop Generation. Kitwana was also an editor for a popular music magazine called The Source. Advances in technology have done wonders for education. Students have many options, such as online courses which can be taught on the web. The number of homeschooled students has risen with the use of the internet. These many changes have reinvented the classroom. We wanted your thoughts on what a traditional classroom looks like.
We had all from 1 to 12 in the one room,
When I went to school, there was chalkboards and those overhead projectors that went on the white screen.
We have keyboarding and computers, and we didn't get that until college.
The internet and stuff, we can go to the e-library or whatever and look up.
Yeah, to Odin and look up what we want.
We had a small library with encyclopedias. It wasn't much, and they didn't let you take and look at them a lot because they didn't want to wear them out.
In the morning, we can go do web searching, stuff like that.
Well, I had the old-fashioned typewriters because I took typing.
Well, they first just came out with computers when I was in high school. Isn't that awful?
Yeah, it's a lot easier than index cards. Just go to the computer and type in author.
Miracles are something we often hear about during the holiday season. For one family, the concept of a miracle was something they thought of every day.
Jason Stadstead was like any other high school student until he received the news that changed his life.
They told me I had a year to live.
Doctors discovered a massive brain tumor wrapped around Jason's spinal cord and brain. Once very active in school and sports, he now spent most of his time in hospitals or operating rooms. A year later, Jason started his senior year strong. He was elected homecoming king and was sent on a Make-A-Wish trip.
Another highlight was Jason presenting Dale Earnhardt Jr. with the trophy for the first place winner. And just a lot of family time, a lot of memories.
Jason and his family joined the other supporters of Make-A-Wish Foundation in a charity walk. The event was a success.
I'm just proud to say that I'm Jason's cousin, and with the inspiration that he's been to so many kids and actually to so many adults too. All right, we'll see you later.
See ya. Thanks for coming.
Jason was so determined he began lacing up his skates again. For the state hockey tournament, he joined his varsity team.
Fire back in!
He was happy to help the team in any way he could.
It made me feel like a part of the team, you know? Felt like I was doing something to help them out.
Jason, who had beaten so much, now became an inspiration for everyone.
I think a lot of people have told him there's things he wouldn't be able to do, and he's proved them all wrong. So no place to tell Jason what he can't do. I know that now.
The team was defeated in an emotional championship game. The loss was disappointing, but a bigger battle was being fought. A few weeks before the tournament, Jason met with his doctor to check the status of the cancer. The doctor read the family the results, but it wasn't until she showed them visual proof that the news sunk in.
We were kind of questioning, does she have the right MRI? She wasn't going to say that it was the chemo, and it was, she wasn't going to say it was the radiation that had done what it had done, but that he definitely had some higher powers intervening here.
What started as a tumor the size of a fist was reduced to a few darkened spots on the scan. Instead of preparing for his next chemo, Jason was now planning for graduation. A college application essay asked, "What are you most proud of?" And for Jason, the answer was clear.
Beating this cancer after being beat down by it so many times and coming back to school after missing a year are two of the events in my life that I am most proud of.
Doctors told Jason to go back to living his life, but for him, that just meant business as usual. For Studio One, I'm Emily Tobin.
Jason is planning on attending the University of North Dakota in the fall. He hopes to one day to either own his own business or become a lawyer. Next, many people have problems with sleep, memory loss, and stress at some point in their lives. We will speak with a neuroscientist who has some simple remedies.
No matter what your schedule, no matter when you work, no matter what job you have now, this is your opportunity to accomplish your goals. Degrees After Hours at the University of North Dakota can work around your busy schedule. Bachelor and master's degrees are earned through convenient, flexible, and high-quality classes. Complete degrees are available online through correspondence study and on weekends and evenings. Earn a degree on your terms with Degrees After Hours at the University of North Dakota.
The College of Business and Public Administration at the University of North Dakota is proud to announce the Page Family Marketing Center. A gift from alumni Greg and Cindy Page, this center promises real-world experiences as students begin careers in marketing. The center includes a specially designed conference room for focus group research. An adjacent lab offers real-time access to software and data for marketing decisions. The Page Family Marketing Center, your next step in marketing.
The School of Engineering and Mines at UND has a long history of preparing students for successful careers. Through small classes and faculty involvement, students have unique opportunities to gain hands-on experience. Here, students launch a weather balloon to test a remote imaging device destined for Earth orbit. Students can also become involved in wind energy and fuel cell projects, design, build, and race a Formula One car, or even develop a camera that will generate agricultural images from the International Space Station. Find out for yourself how you can get involved at UND School of Engineering and Mines.
The UND College of Business and Public Administration is reaching out to rural America. The Government Rural Outreach Initiative is working to connect North Dakota veterans with important information. North Dakota veterans can use the internet to access employment and business resources, health and benefits they deserve, housing information, and much more. The Government Rural Outreach Initiative is funded in part by the North Dakota Congressional Delegation. North Dakota veterans and their families can get connected by visiting go.ndgrow.com.
Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, and multiple sclerosis are all serious diseases. Almost 10 years ago, neuroscientists started Brain Awareness Week, a way to help educate people about the brain and diseases of the brain. For the first time ever, neuroscientist Sally Pyle has helped bring this international event to North Dakota. Thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Well, what do you want to accomplish with having Brain Awareness Week here?
What we're trying to do is help people start to understand the brain and how it works, start to understand things that they can do to help their memory, start to think about ways that they can share their experiences with others.
Okay.
That's what we're here to do.
And you brought a brain with you.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually a plastic brain, thank goodness.
Right, and a real brain doesn't have these colors on it.
Okay, well you might be referencing that a little bit later, but is this only a, I guess, what is Brain Awareness Week? Like, what happens during the event?
Well, anything that we want to have happen. What we're planning to do this year is we have a table at the Union. That will be the week after break, and we want to give out information to students about stress and memory and sleep and how those things can affect their studying. So we want to give them practical information to help them to be more successful as students. And the other thing that we're doing is I have a whole group of students who are really excited about the brain and want to share what they've been learning. And they are going to elementary schools and middle schools and high schools. They're even meeting with the homeschooling group in town, and they're going to do programs with the children and teach them about the brain, teach them about why you would wear a helmet, and teach them that, like, this part of the brain right here, so that's colored orange, is what instigates movement. So that's what allows your hands to move and allows you to dance and allows you to talk even.
Well, is this something that's only going to be, for medical students, people who study the brain?
Oh no, we are making this for the general public. Neuroscientists do get very technical when they talk to each other, but you can talk about the brain in a lot of ways that don't have to be technical at all. And that's what we want to do. We want to bring it down, or not bring it down, but bring it to the public at a level that they can understand.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
And that I'm sure we'll understand that. What are some, what's some practical advice you can give us about the brain? Some tips, for example.
Okay. For students, for example, I know that next week there are a lot of exams because I'm giving one in my class. And I know they stay up late studying, but the best thing that they can do to help them is to actually get a good night's sleep, because research has shown that sleep helps to consolidate memory, so that if they've been learning something and they want to keep remembering it the next day, getting a good night's sleep is the best thing they can do. Okay. So, and helping reduce their stress levels. Exercise is a really good way for them to reduce their stress levels. If they can find a way to work that in, then they can reduce their stress, and that helps their memory.
Okay. Well, the brain is one thing. The diseases of the brain is another. And, you know, there are so many out there that there are not cures for yet.
Right.
What kind of hope is there for these? You know, there's so much research going into things like Parkinson's and Alzheimer's. What kind of hope do we have to find cures for things like that?
There's an awful lot of hope. In, say, the last 5 to 10 years, there have been amazing discoveries in neuroscience research. And for example, Parkinson's, they have a lot of different ways to treat Parkinson's now that don't cure the disease, but that allow the person to function normally and will allow them to function normally for their lifetime. Alzheimer's, we've learned a lot about. We still have a long way to go with that. Spinal cord injury is another one where they've done some really exciting work.
Yeah, and you mentioned, you know, some of these diseases. I know Michael J. Fox is a celebrity who has Parkinson's. Christopher Reeve with spinal cord injury. How important is it when celebrities get on the media wagon, I guess, to help out the cause?
It's very important because it helps to bring it to public attention. Both Michael J. Fox and the Christopher Reeve Foundation have gotten a lot of money that they're using to support research, and that research is what's helping to make advances. One of the things that has been happened in the last 6 months is that a young man who has a spinal cord injury has had electrodes implanted in his brain, and again, it's this region of the brain where they implanted the electrodes. That's the motor cortex, and he actually can, by thinking, run a computer.
Amazing.
And I would say that in our lifetimes, we'll be able to see that kind of technology actually help people with spinal cord injuries to walk again.
Well, that is very exciting.
It is, isn't it?
Thank you so much for coming on. When is Brain Awareness Week, very quickly?
Brain Awareness Week is March 14th through the 18th, which is our spring break, so we're doing ours the week after spring break.
All right. Well, there you go. Thanks a lot for coming on the show
Thank you for having me.
You're watching Studio One from the University of North Dakota. We'll be back right after this.
Tradition runs deep among American Indian people. One of those traditions is helping others. At the University of North Dakota, American Indian Student Services is dedicated to helping students succeed. Our support services include tutoring and financial aid assistance. We have more American Indian programs than any other university in the U.S., making UND a leader in Indian education. Be a part of our tradition. Call 1-800-CALL-UND.
The Graduate School at the University of North Dakota is the premier graduate school of the Northern Great Plains, offering advanced degrees in more than 50 fields of study. Our innovative and flexible programs give full-time students, as well as working professionals, the opportunity to study under the guidance of nationally and internationally recognized faculty. Advance your career with a master's or doctoral degree from the Graduate School at the University of North Dakota.
When you graduate from college, what will you be able to offer an employer?
Well, I love working with people.
I'm a people person.
I consider myself to be highly motivated.
I'm a real self-starter.
Offer an employer something more. At the University of North Dakota Career Services Center, we can help you get the competitive edge you need. Stop in or check us out, UND Career Services, empowering students to realize their dreams.
I can offer you much more than just good people skills.
You're hired. No matter what your schedule, no matter when you work, no matter what job you have now, this is your opportunity to accomplish your goals. Degrees After Hours at the University of North Dakota can work around your busy schedule. Bachelor and master's degrees are earned through convenient, flexible, and high-quality classes. Complete degrees are available online through correspondence study and on weekends and evenings. Earn a degree on your terms with Degrees After Hours at the University of North Dakota.
This can happen.
Excuse me, can I get a ride?
What?
My car broke down. Can I get a ride?
No, I can't help you.
Look, it's just a ride.
No, step back.
Get in the car!
No!
Women can defend themselves. To learn more about Impact U or to enroll in a class, call the UND Women's Center.
Tune in next week on Studio One. Going to the theater can be an entertaining experience. We'll show you a play that was performed not on a stage, but in a pool of water. We'll have that and other news and entertainment stories for you.
We're going to leave you now with pictures of Irish dancers, courtesy of photographer Darren Lean. From all of us here at Studio One, have a great week.